Forgotten Lighthouse. In the misty coastal town of Eldridge Bay, where the Atlantic Ocean crashed against jagged cliffs like an endless symphony, stood the forgotten lighthouse. It had been abandoned for decades, its once bright beam now a dim flicker in the fog, visible only to those who dared to seek it. The locals whispered stories about it, a place cursed by the sea, where sailors vanished and ghosts roamed the halls. But for young Eliza Thornton, it was just an old relic from her grandfather's tales, a beacon of adventure in her otherwise ordinary life. Eliza was 18, with wild auburn hair that whipped in the wind and a curiosity that often led her into trouble. She lived in a small cottage on the edge of town with her grandmother, who spent her days knitting by the fire and recounting stories of the old days. "Stay away from that lighthouse, child," Grandma would say, her voice crackling like dry leaves. "It's not for the living." But Eliza couldn't resist. One stormy afternoon, as thunder rumbled over the bay, she packed a backpack with a flashlight, a notebook, and a sandwich, and set off along the overgrown path that wound up the cliffs. The hike was treacherous. Rain lashed her face, and the wind howled like a chorus of lost souls. By the time she reached the lighthouse, her clothes were soaked through, and the sun was dipping below the horizon, painting the sky in bruised purples and oranges. The structure loomed before her, a towering cylinder of weathered stone, its lantern room perched at the top like a watchful eye. The door creaked open with a push, revealing a spiral staircase coated in dust and cobwebs. Eliza's heart pounded as she ascended, each step echoing in the hollow space. At the top, the lantern room was a relic of another era. Rusty gears and broken glass littered the floor, and the massive Fresnel lens, once the heart of the beacon, sat cracked and silent. Eliza shone her flashlight around, uncovering faded photographs pinned to the walls, images of sailors with stern faces, their eyes hollow from years at sea. One photo caught her eye, a young man with a familiar smile, standing beside a woman who looked strikingly like her grandmother. "Grandpa," she whispered, tracing the image with her finger. Her grandfather had disappeared at sea when her mother was a child, presumed lost to a storm. Could this be him? As night fell, the storm intensified. Lightning illuminated the room in flashes, revealing something else, a small, locked chest hidden beneath a pile of old blankets. Eliza knelt down, her hands trembling as she picked the lock with a hairpin. Inside was a leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed with age. The first entry was dated 1947, written in a neat, looping script. June 12, 1947. "The sea calls to me tonight, louder than ever. I've been keeper of this lighthouse for 5 years, watching ships sail by, their lights like stars on the water. But something's wrong. Whispers in the wind, shadows in the fog. I fear I'm not alone here." Eliza flipped through the pages, her breath catching. The journal belonged to her great-uncle, Elias Thornton, whom she'd never heard of. He described strange occurrences, doors slamming on their own, footsteps in empty halls, and visions of a woman in white, her face pale and pleading. "She comes at midnight," one entry read. "Begging for help. I think she's trapped, like the sailors who perished in the wreck of the Aurora." The Aurora. Eliza remembered the story, a ship that had sunk off the coast in 1948, its crew lost to the waves. Was Elias connected? As she read on, the entries grew frantic. July 15, 1948. "I saw her again. She said her name is Mara. She's not a ghost, she's real, but cursed. The lighthouse holds her, bound by the light that never dies. I must break the curse before it's too late." Suddenly, a gust of wind slammed the door shut below, and Eliza heard footsteps on the stairs. Her flashlight flickered, then died. In the darkness, she clutched the journal, her mind racing. Was it the storm, or something more? A soft voice echoed in the room, "Help me. Please." Heart hammering, Eliza fumbled for her phone, but there was no signal. She had to get out. But as she descended the stairs, the air grew colder, and she felt a presence behind her, a chill that seeped into her bones. At the bottom, The door wouldn't budge. She was trapped. Hours passed in the dark. Eliza huddled against the wall, reading by the faint glow of her phone's battery. Elias's final entries revealed the truth. Mara was a lighthouse keeper's wife from the 1800s, who had died in a fire while signaling a ship to safety. Her spirit was bound to the lighthouse, reliving her final moments to warn others. Elias had tried to free her by destroying the lens, but the storm had taken him before he could finish. As midnight approached, Eliza heard the voice again, clearer now. "The light must be extinguished. Only then can I rest." Eliza looked up at the lantern room. The beam was still flickering weakly, powered by some ancient mechanism. If she could smash the lens, perhaps Mara would be free, and so would she. With newfound resolve, Eliza climbed back up, the journal in hand. The presence grew stronger, guiding her. At the top, she raised a rusty tool she'd found and swung it at the lens. Glass shattered, and the room filled with a blinding flash. The lighthouse groaned, and the wind howled in triumph. When the light faded, Mara appeared, not as a terrifying spectre, but as a gentle figure in a flowing gown. "Thank you," she whispered. "You've broken the chain." The door below creaked open, and the storm subsided. Eliza stumbled out into the clear night, the lighthouse silent at last. Back home, she shared the journal with her grandmother, who wept at the revelation. Elias had been her brother, lost not to the sea, but to his quest. The town of Eldridge Bay breathed easier, the curse lifted. Eliza, forever changed, became the new keeper of stories, ensuring the past was never forgotten.